I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, October the 11th, brought to you in part by VitaFirm Conserve. Conserve spending without sacrificing performance. VitaFirm Conserve is an economical line of vitamin and mineral supplements that supports the health and condition of the whole herd. Of course, it contains Amifirm. For more information, go to vitafirm.com. Grain market is focusing on supply and basically ignoring demand side of economics there as we've got a crop production report coming up on Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the morning on Central Time, and it's calling for the lowest stockpiles of corn in 10 years. That doesn't really surprise anybody. But your markets are completely ignoring the fact that farmers can't get this grain to market. Our Mississippi River grain terminals are backed up. Many of them are closed, not taking any grain at all. Your corn export demand relies on the Mississippi River barge freight for about 65% of the export demand, and it's not getting anywhere near that. And so if it can't get this stuff out of here, what's going to happen? It's going to back up. Some people disagree. Some people think that it could make grains go higher, but if we can't get this stuff to market and it starts backing up, what are they going to do? They're going to end up stacking it on the ground, which they do every year during harvest in many places, but it's going to get more expanded than normal. You stack that stuff on the ground, it loses quality, it has to stay there for a long time, the weather gets bad, you start to get into snows and things that leave moisture around for a long time. You could ruin a lot of that. What's the best use of that grain, especially your corn? If you get into situations like that, a lot of it's still in the field. It's backed up harvest, and they're not cutting it because they don't have anywhere to go. All their on-farm storage is full. If we fill up all that on-farm storage, what's the best place to get rid of that stuff? It's going to be for feed, and it's bound to make it cheaper for guys to feed cattle up there in the Corn Belt. Now, not so much down here in the Southern Plains. We're just too far from the feed, but at some point, your corn futures, bean futures, cash markets on grain, especially your basis bids, are going to have to respond to this glut that has stopped so much of our marketing and freight of that product. It has to. And if you back that stuff up and there's more of it there where they're feeding cattle, some of it's going to become available for cattle feed. Now, it might have to be direct marketing just between the farmer and some of your feedlots there. A lot of those guys have storage. A lot of your farmer feeders that are grain guys, that may cause them to buy more cattle to feed their grain too. I just think that it's got to happen. This thing has gotten really big. And if you just look on some of the news online, if you're not believing it, and I mean, it stretches from your Corn Belt down in your southeast, all the way up and down your Mississippi River. It's a big, big deal, guys, and it could bring some relief. I mean, we're not happy about it for the guys that it's affecting, the farmers, but it's just something all the time. And it's bound to give a little bit of relief to these cost of gains that we're staring at that are some of the highest we've seen, up to and over $1.50 a pound. Well, when your cost of gains are higher than your fat cattle price, and you have to buy feeder cattle significantly cheaper because you're going to start catching up really fast. So, something's got to give in there, and we're looking at it right now. We're also seeing some of this upheaval that's going on over in Ukraine. That's really got things in a turmoil right now. We're so sick of that deal, where everybody is exhausted about it. There's more news that comes out on about it all the time. If Putin signs a deal, it's no better than the paper that it's written on. You hope that it's on soft paper, because he will not live up to any kind of deal that he strikes. Your wheat market has jumped because now they're thinking they're not going to get nearly as much of that Ukrainian wheat out of there for export. Kansas City hard red winter wheat nearby was up over 54 cents on Monday a bushel. Unbelievable there. But let's talk about your cattle futures. October live cattle futures down 62 cents at 144.70. December down $1.05 at 147. What was the reason for that when we sold cattle? The highest we sold them in the Southern Plains since 2015. Last week's market, the highest point that it reached was at the very tail end of the market. I just don't understand that. Your weighted average for last week was $2 higher than what your spot October live cattle futures are. But it just, you tell me what the reasoning is behind it. But your back months on live cattle are also down 52 cents to $1. October feeder cattle down 262. Well, we know why that happened, because corn was up 15 cents despite all this backing up and people just letting the corn stand there in the field when it needs to be harvested because they're not sure what they can do with it because everything's backed up and there's no storage anywhere. So, you know, that's got to give at some point. But for on Monday, October, the feeder cattle were down 262, like I said, at 172.10. That's below where our fading index levels are, even below your real-time index, which is $2 to $3 below what your CME cash feeder cattle index is. November feeder cattle futures down 275 at 172.87. Back months on feeder cattle futures down 80 to down 237. Like I said, your December corn was up 15 cents a bushel at 6.98 and a quarter. Beans were up 7 cents at 13.74. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region totaled up to be 82,100 head. Moved pure negotiated cash in your 5-area. That was just under the previous weeks of 83,900, but well over the same week a year ago, which was 68,600. Live sales of steers and heifers completely wrapped up for last week ranged from 143 to 149. That's $1 to $3 higher on your price spread there. Your weighted average on live steers improved from the last time I gave it to you because it included those Friday sales, which were the highest we saw all week, at 146.23. Your 5-area live steer weighted average, that was $1.45 higher than the previous weeks. Dress sales of steers and heifers ranged from 227 to 234, and you say, wait, 234? Yeah, we didn't see 234 at all until Friday of last week, the highest we'd seen all week. $1 to $2 higher on your spread. Your weighted average on dress steers, 230.28. That's up $1.11 from the previous week's weighted average on a dress steer. So that would make us think that we're coming into this week with a head of steam, guys. Nationwide, 98,700 head, and even though it's pitiful, anytime we get close to 100,000 these days, in this day and time, we feel like we're having pretty good pure negotiated trade. Negotiated grid totaled up to be 41,100. Forward contracts only 8,200. Formula sales well under what we typically see at 254,600. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's 20 or 30,000 less than what we see typically. I don't think there's that many cattle out there to formula, guys. Talk about how many cattle that your packers bought for 15 to 30 day delivery. It was about 26% of that pure negotiated number of 98,700 head. That's a little lighter than typical. Usually we're running in the low 30 percentile, so it's a little bit lighter than that. They're going to come in here empty-handed, guys, and if you guys would just kind of get together a little bit, use your head and negotiate, I think you can get some significantly higher prices over the next several weeks coming up. Now Monday, We already saw a little bit of trade in Iowa, 250 head, 146 and 228. That's nothing to sneeze at. I'm not sure why people would sell that early in the week, but it was well up within our price range from last week. No trade anywhere else. Box beef cutout values continue to drop, and we keep thinking we're going to find some a seasonal bottom to this deal, but we still haven't. Monday afternoon, choice cuts down 144 at 244.63. Select was down 231 at 213.82. Talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, out there in no man's land on the Beaver River on the eastern side of the Oklahoma Panhandle. Got a really good sale there. 4,300 head for Tuesday's sale here, and they get started early, like 8 o'clock in the morning. You can get on to dvauction.com and view and bid that sale right there. They've got a lot of grass yearlings. Where else you gonna find them, guys? You can't find grass yearlings. They got 1,500 or so yearlings in there, and about 5 loads of 750-pound grass yearling steers, about another 5 loads of 850 to 900-pound grass yearlings. There'll be some backgrounded yearlings there too also. Of course, a lot of calves because it's that time of year and a good run of cows. But check out Beaver County Stockyards if you haven't already done that. Talk about your feeder cattle market for the first day of the week. Your real-time index on DV Auction through Cattle Market Central late in the day on Monday sitting at 172.85. That was down a quarter from the end of last week. So we're still losing a little bit of ground. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 9,400 head. A year ago, 7,400 head. And you said, wait, I thought you said we're low on cattle. We are very, very low on cattle, but we don't have any place to run them right now. Super dry, like we talked about, Mississippi River running really, really low. But you get this side of it, west of the Mississippi River, and I mean it is terrible, terrible dry. Look at your drought monitor. Oklahoma is about the worst. I know we saw it in central Texas earlier in the summer, but it's bad. Now, we did get a little bit of rain over the weekend and early this week in West Texas. Saw it in the Texas Panhandle over the weekend. On Monday, it was further south, south of Lubbock in West Texas, but it was very, very welcome. Not used to getting it, but it'll perk that dry land wheat just a little bit. Like to have a little more, of course, but it will perk it a little bit. Did get a little bit in western Oklahoma too, but you know, guys just can't hold the cattle anymore. They need to conserve what forage and hay and feed that they have for their cows, so they're bringing their calves in. 9,400 head in Oklahoma City. Feeder steers $1 to $3 lower. They've been lower every week for a month. Feeder heifers unevenly steady. Calves steady to $4 lower. Biggest losses were on the heifer calves, but you know, we've got to get some relief from this drought, guys, or get some demand coming on the other side. Joplin Regional Stockyards. I might mention in Oklahoma City, the percentage of those feeder cattle in Oklahoma City on Monday that weighed over 600 pounds was only 39%. That is very, very significant. All light calves coming in. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 5,000 head there. Feeder steers in Joplin steady to $3 lower. Feeder heifers $3 to $5 lower. 60 head of 854-pound steers in Joplin brought 172, and that's the market there, and you can still get it there at those high volume sales on a Monday. I want to talk about your Zoetta stick-out sale of the day for Monday. It was Faith, South Dakota livestock auction. 4,800 feeders on offer there. Look at this automated market report. You see it was mostly light calves, mostly 400 to 600 pound calves, and hardly anything other than that. But significant market for Northern Plains in Faith, South Dakota on Monday. Look at your 4-weight steers, 640 head of them, average 459 with a weighted average price on all of those 4-weight steers of $234.14. Wow. 1,760 head of 5-weight steer calves in Faith, South Dakota. You kidding me? They average 548 pounds with a weighted average price. This is the market in the Northern Plains for 550 pound steer calves, $210.37. And that seems pretty logical to everybody. Look at the heifers, 840 head of full weight heifer calves, average 461, the weighted average price of 206.03, and 683 head of 5 weight heifer calves, face South Dakota, average 522, weighted average price of 202.96. Give you a few individual quotes. How about the little market with the big prices? Sylvan Sales Commission Company in Sylvan Grove, Kansas, 82 head, 616 pounds, $1.90. Pretty good there. How about Elgin Livestock Sales? That's in eastern Nebraska. 66 head, 905 pound steers, bring 184.25. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota. 63 head of steers, weighed 985 at 183.25. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.